everybody, it's Cinnamon Cooney, your Art Sherpa, and today we're going to do something completely random. We're going to paint a snowman in an autumn, fall, like late summer field. So this is that beginning of the winter vibes, entering the autumn vibes. I just thought it would be something really fun to do right now. Maybe you're here for the 31-day painting challenge, Acrylic August, and this is like one more painting along your journey. And if you are, I want to congratulate you for being here. Maybe you just came because you saw the thumbnail and you were like, that seems really random and fun, and I would like to paint that. However, the algorithm brought you here, I just want to welcome you in and let you know I'm going to break down every part of this lesson step by step. On the mic is my husband, John.
Hello.
He is going to help me break this down for you and bring this big program to you by making sure the cameras are pointing at what I'm doing. You're going to hear his voice during the class. Now, maybe you're here during the premiere. If you have questions, put those all in caps.
Yep.
If you're watching later and you have a question, just put it in the comments below. I check my YouTube channel every day. Speaking of below, in the description, I like to hide things like links to the website. Everything that I demonstrate here is available for sale in my art store. I have an art store, so you can check that out if you need something. There's also links to the groups, Facebook, everything, and all of the materials that I will be using in this one, and timestamps. So there's like so much information. If you open up that little more thing, I like to use all 50,000 characters given to me in a description. So lots of more information there. If you're not into drawing, I do provide a traceable, but this is one where I feel like mostly people freehand these in, and I do demonstrate this in as a free-handed one. But once I start drawing in the little snowman circles, if you're like, I can't go from there, just throw down the traceable and you've got it. All right, there's nothing to do but get your paint, get your brushes, come back and meet me right now because we're going to paint this together. So for today's class, we're going to use an 8x8 canvas. I have the colors ultramarine blue, phthalo blue, cad red, cad yellow, yellow ochre, burnt sienna, Mars black, titanium white, and this little white gloopy plop is satin glazing liquid by Golden Artist Colors. What it does is it slows down the drying time of my paint and allows me to glaze. It does two things in one. Edie's the one product that does that, so that's the one that I recommend. But you could... It's optional for this lesson. It just helps me with my blending. All right, let's throw up step one so we can start having some fun.
Step one.
Step one. I'm going to start having some fun. I'm going to grab a 1-inch oval mop. I'm going to get a little bit of my glazing liquid in it. And I'm going to load up some white in my glazing liquid. And I'm going to come to the halfway point of my canvas and then brush this out. Some people think of this, they'll ask me if this is like the liquid white, like what oil painters use, some oil painters, and no, but it has some similarities in it. It does create a nice surface for me to work from. Before that dries, I'm going to grab just a smidge of my phthalo blue and I'm going to come in from the top and just very carefully brush this down. Now I'm going to do a really cool thing here. I am going to take a second brush and blend this whole sky. You could use any light brush that you have. Any light brush that you have. Just dust this down here. Now we're going to be like blending, blending, blending. I'm going to rinse both of these out. So I like to have two oval mops. That way I have one to paint down and one to blend. But a lot of times when you buy like those sets of brushes that has like a large set of them, they'll have like a fan in there that's like too soft to use for anything. Actually, that's a very good blender. I'm going to grab a little bit more of my glazing liquid. Some more white. I'm going to come up from the bottom with this white. While everything is still wet, kind of brush that in. And it's going to kind of highlight this little area between the zones. And you'll see it'll give the sky some, it's not really clouds, but it does give that sense of atmospheric drama.
Sky drama.
Sky drama. Rinse out. Now let's call that step one. And I think I will dry it before I do the bottom layer. I will dry it before I do the bottom layer.
Seems good.
Okay. So now I'm going to add the underground back here. One of the nice things, I'm going to take a little glazing liquid just to improve the flow of my paint, and a little burnt sienna and Mars black, making this very dark brown, almost black brown. I'm going to come across the bottom here, get some more glazing liquid if I need to sort of help improve the flow. Just trying to get a coat on there. Now remember, when the glazing liquid is in here, that it takes about twice as long for the paint to dry when you hair dry it. That's what I found. It's twice as long to dry. Whether it's air drying or really hair dried. Now as I'm going to wipe off my brush, and I'm going to come in here and just kind of like add a little bit of my yellow ochre into the mix over here. Start to brush this between these two. And you'll notice I'm kind of doing like a little curve. Then I want to rinse out. And I'm going to take a little bit of my white over to my yellow ochre. And just kind of blend these two into each other. See how I'm doing? And I'm letting the brush be kind of irregular. It's going to help it feel a little bit like plant life. Plant life. So these brushes, the trick to them is controlling the water on these oval mops. And you'll notice every time I go into my bucket, I pull it out, I wring it out with my towel. I'm not leaving these soaked in. I am watching the water. If you're having trouble with that water balance, I have a class, how much water to use for your brush, and it really goes over how to tune that in. I'm going back over everything, kind of creating a streaky, irregular little blending effect that's going on there. See how that looks kind of whimsical?
It's cool. It's very grassy.
It's very grassy. I'm going to rinse that out.
It's fall grassy.
It's fall grassy. And I'm going to go ahead and get a little of my phthalo blue and my glazing liquid together. And come from the top and sort of glaze a darker blue over all of this. And I'll come into the little cloud layer that I had here. So I'm doing like I'm curling in. So this is like reverse painting a little cloud area. I'm just making sure that this has a nice little area. Rinse that out. And I'm going to take a round number 12 D'Artagnan brush, right? So this is a nice hog bristle brush, and I'm going to get some white into my brush. I'm going to come here and the top of this kind of, maybe get some glazing liquid in it, kind of exaggerate the white.
Accentuate the white.
Yeah, just coming. It's kind of working it wet into wet. Push it up in there. See how it's just creating that little sense of sky?
I do.
Sometimes we're so like precious with our clouds. We forget that they're like anything else. They paint just like everything else. One layer at a time. I might add a little more white out here on this corner, and perhaps a little more on this corner just to exaggerate it. But I'll leave it kind of bluish through here. And that's going to be a lot of, I'm going to do some tricks to like make my autumn little snowman. kind of stand out. But this is the nice kind of loose expressive background that's going to let him come in. I'm going to rinse my 2 brushes out. So far I've had my 1-inch oval mop synthetic. Remember, these are the ones that are the brown, the light brown with the dark brown, not the white, not the black. And remember that we're always, see how there's no moisture in there? I'm always keeping that moisture out of the brush. So I'm controlling how much water is in there. It's damp, but it's not soaked. And then we've got the number 8 Raphael d'Artagnan. So this is where we're at so far. Let's try everything, and when we come back, I'll show you what you do next. So I'm going to want to get kind of my snowman figure in, right? Which I'm going to say is easier to paint in than, say, a human figure. I'm going to grab a little bit of my ultramarine blue and my Mars black, making a blue-gray. I'm going to add some white to it. And this will be like our little kind of dark shadower color. So let's come to the bottom, and I want to leave a little bit of room from the bottom up. So I'm going to make a nice big ball. A little ball. It's a little bit, I like to, so one of the things I do is I weight the ball a little bit by making it more of an oval by squishing it. Yeah. It creates a little sense of weight on the ball. I'm just painting this whole area. I'm going to just use my glazing medium to improve my flow. You could use water. It's really whatever you prefer. I'm just wanting to paint this all in. So this is the basis of the snowman, which I was like, I just wanted to do something because we're coming into, like, you know, starting to round the corner into fall. Mm-hmm. And I wanted to have something that was like for those who paint ahead. Because there's some of you guys that just really, really paint ahead. Okay, we're going to add another little ball. Painting the snowman. I've done a few of these.
Yeah.
A few snowmen. Kind of known for it.
That's true. You have done a couple of them.
Pumpkin man, snowman. I like to make the top ball a little bit rounder.
You could have a Snow People Village.
You could have a Snow People Village. Now I'm going to get a little bit of my darker gray, and I'm going to come underneath here.
Sorry. I blurted.
What?
I blurted.
You blurted what?
I was just so excited about a wall of 8x8 snow people.
Entire acrylic April that's all snow people. That would be very niche. I'm taking a darker color, and I'm kind of blending wet into wet with my brush, just kind of creating a little implied shading that I can kind of see right now. Gives me a sense of where the figure is going to go. And I like to kind of just think about the little presence there. Presence, I mean his little presence, like his little emotional presence in the space. All right, so kind of a gray set of 3 circles. Seems like an odd direction to go, but I'll show you how it makes sense in a second. Right now, though, let's dry everything. So now I want to put some old summer grasses that are drying and like kind of going to seed and everything behind our snowman. I'm going to do an interesting thing. I'm going to take a little bit of my black over to my yellow. And believe it or not, black and yellow make a green. We don't often think of that, but a lot of times in landscape painting, you'll use black and yellow as your green because it's a more neutral green. I'm going to go ahead and come behind here with my number 6 round sepia brush. This is a number 6 round sepia brush. That's what I did in the snowman in, and that's what I'm doing this in, number 6 round. And I'm going to create little lines that are just crisscrossing. Just start to really, I can always put my snowman back, right? So I'm going to kind of come around here, maybe a little bit tight. Doing some black and yellow for some green. Little random lines. They have to go different directions. You want them to be kind of messy. Messy, messy, messy. Now, believe you me, we are going to be, I'm going to do a little blacker here and come down underneath him.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Get a little shadow. A little brown.
Yeah. Well, there's going to be layers of grass going underneath, but I want a very dark basis to start that from.
Right.
So I'm going to just bring that there. And then blend that in with like little grasses that are maybe flowing around. We'll be layering it over, so no worries. Little short brush strokes.
I'm not worried.
You're not?
No, I'm with you.
I was really talking to them.
Okay. They're with you too.
But they, I imagine that they might be worried.
You don't need to worry because you're here with us.
Because I'm here?
We're all here with Cinnamon.
A very My Hero Academia. No need to worry, I am here. A little bit of dark green. And there's just a slight green cast to this black and green, which is a great way to do summer dried out foliage. You can see I'm just randomizing the little directions of the brush strokes. Be random. I'm going to bend some over this way. Looking good. You've got this. You're doing fine. I might come around here and just sort of tightly like to make sure that there's a little
Right. Yep.
contrast there, helping him stand out. I can't wait to get the flowers, and that's going to be super fun. I like to give lots of little lines that just give different energy. I'm adding a little glazing liquid in there just to extend the color. In other words, make it go longer so I don't have to keep mixing it, and also to improve the flow of the brush.
Yeah.
So I can start to add this little texture out here.
Some added texture.
Some little grass textures into summer grass. You can see how the textures all layer with each other. Try to make sure there's a little bit of grass like peeking out behind too. Just a little bit so that, seems tucked into the plants. Let's call that a step. And we will dry everything. So I want to come here and start shading my snowballs. I've got my ultramarine blue and my Mars black here kind of creating a gray. I'm going to use my number 8. No. Yeah. Yes, the number 8. To look at one that's a little better printed. Number 8 round. And I'm going to kind of load up a little gray in there. But I'm going to lighten it with some white. And we're going to start trying to dry brush shade Our little snowballs. I'm going to come here and... Now, the majority of my light is going to be vertical left, so my shadow is going to be kind of on the right-hand side. So when I go to dry brush this, I'll keep adding layers. I'm going to come under here and you see I'm like using dry brushing. So some people are very anti-dry brushing, and I just see it as a technique that makes texture that works really well on some things. So I'm very for dry brushing when dry brushing works. And continue to add highlights here. I can always come back and put some shadow back, so if I feel like I've taken too much out, that's no problem. And again, so much of him is going to be covered, so like, don't do the best snowball of your life down here. Just frustrate yourself. See how the dry brushing lets me do a lighter amount of paint on my right-hand side, and then I can use pressure or brush loading to increase the amount of paint on my left-hand side. And by using randomized brush strokes, it kind of gives that matte little snow look.
Right.
Now I'm going to rinse out and dry off my brush. I'm going to get a little more white onto it. There's this weird little moment in the season where fall colors and snow can sometimes overlap. Winter can overlap, and I really love that middle season. It's super enjoyable to me. You can see that we're just shading the snowballs. They're brighter on the left.
That's where the light source is.
Yeah. I can dry brush over here and soften the shading with just a little bit of white. So it's there, but it's just a little bit softer. This is a lot like doing blush or any of those blending techniques that one has in, makeup. One more pass. I'm going to rinse out. And because I'm dry brushing, it's drying very quickly. There we go. Just built up the white. That's looking pretty good. A little bit of snowball. I can come in here and get my gray color again. I want to make sure that my brush is pretty dry. Just come and exaggerate a couple little. So I'm doing, coming back and exaggerating. Letting these feel separate of each other because they cast shadow.
Because just the shadows. They give the contrast to the light.
Yep. And that drama can make my little snow dude feel way cooler, I feel. All right. Now I'm going to dry everything, and I'll show you what we're going to do when we come back. So I want to come here and kind of maybe set a hat. So I'm going to grab a bit of burnt sienna and Mars Black and my number 6 sepia round brush. I'm going to make a dark chocolate brown again. This will be the basis of my hat. I'm going to come here and from here loop out a bit of a brim. Paint that all in. This is just a little ellipse. And we're going to put a little top on here. It's kind of peeking out. That'll be the basis of our hat. You can sit there and have a thought for a second. I'm going to take a little bit of my cad red, cad yellow.
I like the rounded top of his hat.
Come right here to the center of the face. Plant a carrot. Might grab a little bit of black into my orange. Create a dark carrot shadow. Let me put my glasses on so I can really see what I'm doing.
I know, I zoomed in.
Did you zoom in?
I zoomed in so I could see.
It's a tiny little carrot. So I'm just coming along the bottom of this with my little brush here. Look, and this works because my brush has a sharp point. The number 6 Raphael has a sharp point. I'm going to get some black. Come here and give ourselves a little cool eye. Another little cool eye. You know what? It's really hard to come by coal these days, so like... I don't know how anybody does this anymore. Black rocks, I suppose.
I'd say it's in the garden section next to the grills. You can just go get some.
Oh, charcoal.
Yeah.
I don't... Shh, don't tell the rest of the internet. Shh. Add some more little buttons down here.
I don't think you can still get lump coal. I'm sure you can somewhere, but I don't know if you can just get lump coal like up north. I imagine there's still people who have coal-driven houses and stuff. I was surprised there's so many, like oil-driven, furnaces and stuff. So,
gonna do a little twiggy style arm here. The other one is vanished, kind of maybe on the back. I like to make it look very twig-like. All right. Let's give everything a dry. So definitely want to add a little bit of a brown highlight. I'm just going to use my burnt sienna and my number 6 round to the top of the little branch here. It's coming over barely over the top. And I'm just looking at his cuteness. And there's just a part of me that wants to do this. I'm going to take a little bit of my cad red.
You should do it then.
I don't know. My brain won't stop talking about it, so I'm going to do it. So I'm taking a little bit of my phthalo blue and my cad red. It's making kind of a brick red. Kind of a dark brick red. And I'm going to come here and kind of create a little bit of a ribbon. I'll bend it there, thickening it out. Rounding that edge helps it feel like this. Get some glazing liquid so it flows better, or water. I really dig that. Okay, and then I'm going to come right here to the center. What I am painting in is a bow. Just feel like he needed one. Now, that will become more of a bow when we highlight it and do all the stuff with the red and everything, where we kind of bring it all out. But I really like that right there, a little bow. I think that's going to make him even more special. Now, I want to take this little brush and I want to start painting the hat.
All right. Paint that hat.
Paint that hat. So I'm going to take my burnt sienna and my yellow ochre together. I'm going to dry brush coming across the rim. See how I'm not painting the rim? I'm going to bring this around, kind of loop that around. Still pretty dark down here. And a little bit of just yellow ochre. I'm going to rinse out. Now that may need to dry for a bit, and this may need to dry for a bit. So I'm going to hit everything with the hairdryer and then come back and do the next layer. Now I'm going to take a little cad yellow over to my yellow ochre and mix them together. And I'm going to get kind of like somewhere between the yellow ochre and the cad yellow. Come along the top of this little hat here. Very fine line, and then I will highlight the front, dry brushing back. Leaves a lot of what's there. And I'm going to go ahead and get a little bit of my white into it. A little bit there. Take a little bit of my cad yellow and cad red again, and I'm using my number 6 sepia again. Just make sure that the orange on my little nose is very orange. Rinse out. Now I'm going to grab a little bit of my cad red. Dry brush a little bit right there at the center. So I'm going to want shadow where the bow would be gathered. I may have to put some back, but I don't mind. I can easily do that once my like main thing is in. Here, and then like kind of fade it so it's still a little bit darker there. So you kind of see the bow popping. I'm going to put this aside for a second, and I'm going to get a small detail brush. This is my number 0 round. And I'm going to get a little glazing liquid on it and get it into my dark red color. my shadow color. I could also use red and black on these. I'm going to bring little lines out there that sort of indicate a gathered bow. Rinse out. Sometimes I overpaint. And when I do that, I just pick it up. I'm going to go get some just red. Put that right there. A little bit of the shadow color again. Just make sure that this is just a happy little red bow sitting on his cuteness. On his cuteness, which I super duper like.
Super cuteness.
Super cuteness. This just random snowman in a field. I love it. Now he's all dressed up, appropriate for, you know,
he's ready for the party
season.
in the field.
Ready for the party in the field.
Yeah.
Super invited. All right. Now what I'm going to want to do is continue to layer in my grasses and everything. So let's hit this with the hairdryer just to make sure everything is dry and tacked down. Come back, I'll show you how we hit the next layers. Now I want to come in and add some more dry grasses. So I'm going to get my, I think I'll do my burnt sienna and my Mars black for these instead of the green. And I'm going to come here and make sure that this is fully integrated into the field. Maybe somebody nearby has a snow machine. That could happen.
Yeah. So.
Get a little bit of my glazing liquid in just to improve that flow. Because I'm trying to make fine lines. I'm using my number 6 round again. My number 6 round by Raphael. It's the sepia. Just pulling this everywhere. Just burying him in the grass. See, I was like, now he's in there. Why is my snowman in the grass? I don't know. He just is this year. Okay, let's dry this and come back and start adding some highlight grasses. So I want to come in and add some more dimensionality. I'm going to take a little bit of my cad yellow over to my yellow ochre. I'm going to add some glazing liquid to improve flow, like you do. I'm still using my number 6 round. Come here and start to paint in some little grass highlights. Little fine lines, heavy lines. That's how you kind of get it there. You gotta break it up. Now, if your yellows are not covering your dark color, that may be a condition in your paint because some paints are just underpigmented. A trick that you can do is add some, we're going to do it in a minute, but a trick you can do is add some white to your paint mix to improve the color coverage. Now, speaking of, I'm going to come in and get a little white into my mix. A little glazing liquid to improve the flow. Sometimes I will wipe out my brush because it's overloaded. In other words, it's too full in its middle belly.
Just gonna get some of that paint out.
Yeah. Just adding some highlight blades. Just little grass strokes. See, it's just he's starting to be he's in the shrubbery now. That's how we get him in the shrubberies. Come in and get a little bit of my burnt sienna. Sometimes I will mix a little orange into it to like really vibrant it up, if you know what I mean. I'm going to add a little water to improve the flow. A little bit of this brown down here. You had no idea that dead grass was so colorful. But dead grass is super colorful.
So many shades.
So many shades. Where is the snowman heading? Where did the snow come from? See, this is why art is awesome. Because you would never see this unless you had one of those early snows on your fall kind of world. Okay. Let's dry everything, and then we're going to start putting in some flowers, which is the funnest part. So before we get the big flowers in, we want to tuck in some small flowers. I'm going to take a little bit of my red and knock back its vibrancy just a smidge with the blue. Again, and you could have done that with black as well, but I like the blue. And we're going to tuck in little pops of color. Between the grasses. These are not our main flowers. These are the ones that are maybe blooming still or just peeking through. Only see some of their color through the grass. And it's very important when you do this to add these little details in. It'll keep your flowers from feeling like they're floating.
Floating flowers.
Yeah. And I mean, they're going to float a little bit, but if you can tuck in some hidden grass ones, then it really helps. And we really, really want to plant this area with lots and lots of blooms just to make it super cheerful. Now I'm going to take to the side a little of my yellow because it's a little dirty over in the area, and a smidge of red. And I'm going to make a nice yellow orange. Smidge some of it with just a bit of black. I'm going to add some of these tucked in as well. It's not bad. So those are our tucked in flowers. While I'm here, I'm going to also grab a little bit of my red and blue. Come right here above the brim. Make one little spot for the red flower. And one little spot for the yellow flower. So there'll be two little flowers on the hat. Because we care. We care very, very much. Try everything with your hair dryer. So I'm going to add a lot of flowers. I'm going to come in and grab a slightly brighter, but still a bit toned with the blue color of red. And I'm going to loosely paint the shape of the flowers.
Just some flower shapes.
Right.
They're kind of the rough.
Just the overall,
Yeah.
not each individual petal. I'm kind of just thinking about the irregular round shape that is it.
Because we're going to have a little bit of snow stuff on them anyway.
Well, no.
No?
No.
Oh. Just a little peeking out there.
Yeah. No, the whole point is this is sort of an absurdity.
Yeah.
I come here and
I
add
guess
another.
that's true. Although, you know what, there are those days where it's super cold and it's, you know, so the snow people could still be around. But there's just not, they're just adventuring out in.
They're adventuring out. Like, this is just a random snow person that has found a way out into a field. We don't really have good answers for why, which is actually kind of fun.
That's what makes the viewer have to engage. They have to tell the story. They have to go, well, wait, what? And then you have to, well, what is the story? You have to tell me.
Now, once we have that, we're going to come back through. Bring a little yellow over here. Tone it with a smidge of red. So it's a yellow orange. So if you kind of look at the way my brush strokes are going, I'm just using them to create little round shapes. Again, if your yellows aren't covering, you may have to paint your flowers white first. Put a little flower kind of over his shoulder. And maybe one right there. Okay, that's fairly planted, fairly cheerful. I'm digging that a lot. Let's dry everything, and I'll tell you what we're going to do when we come back. So now the other thing that I'm going to do is I'm going to come through here with some yellow and some white. yellow and white. Make a very, I still want a bright yellow, but I've just added a little white to it. So it's a little bit deeper than a ducky yellow. But it's in the family of ducky yellow. And I'm going to come and very carefully add some highlights to some of the petals. Little touches right there. I may even kind of highlight some of the little hidden flowers. Add a little one to the top of the hat. Just a few little petals that are highlighted. It's looking very good. I'm going to rinse that out. And come here and take a little bit of my black and brown together. And roll it just on the tip of my brush. Little darkness in the center there. So just little dark centers, right? I like to make some of the centers bigger and some of them smaller. Do that randomness in there. I think it really, really helps. All right. Now I want to dry everything. Come back and we'll do the red flowers. Number 6 round still continued. I'm going to come in with my pure red. I'm going to layer in a couple of highlights on each flower with my bright red. Sometimes I will put highlights on the hidden flowers as well. Just some of them. Come up here and add a few little for that little hat. Little kisses of brighter red. Kind of goes with the bow now.
Yeah.
Little curl stroke there. Just 1 to 2, 3 strokes per flower. I think one of the things is sometimes when we paint something as enjoyable as flowers, we get a little too in our heads about what that has to look like, what that has to be like. Put some little reds out there. It's kind of implying that they're spread out there. I think while I'm at it, I might add some little yellow out there too. You know what I mean? Just a little bit.
I do.
Just as if they're little distant specks. Little speckles.
Yeah.
Now the center of my flowers are the same on the reds too. It's brown and black. Mostly it's like a deep brown. You could do just pure black if you felt like it. Just happy little centers on happy little flowers.
Man, this guy turned out to be such a cute guy in a field.
cute guy in the field. So, we're kicking off the second week. I mean, the hard week. We're kicking off that third hard week. And, I like to throw bits of joy at the community when we do that. There we go. Oh, I think my favorite is the little flowers at the hat. I don't know why, but that's what's just giving me the feels right there. All the feels is the little flowers on the hat. Okay.
I loved how that hat turned out.
I love how that hat turned out so much. I'm going to go ahead and take a little bit of I'm going to take some of my white over to my yellow ochre. I'm going to thin it with water. Kind of create a good signing thing. And I'm going to sign here in the corner in this light grass color. Keep that signature a little small and nondescript. I don't want it to take over the whole painting because this is such a cute painting. Just a fun little painting along the way to 31 fun little paintings.
Yeah.
I think some of these are going to be some people's favorites. Like some people are going to be just like the snowman was everything. You didn't even know you were waiting for an autumn snowman. And yet here it is. When we come back, I'm going to show you what you do next. I'm going to tell you what you're going to do next. So away we went with something that was a little fun and a little bit different and a little bit unexpected. And I think that's important when you're doing a daily painting, is to throw some joy at yourself and not be too serious. One of the big mistakes I made the first time I ever tried to do a daily painting is I tried to make great, important art. Every time I went to the easel, I was arranging still lifes. I was being really intense about it. And that intensity did start to wear me out. And I had to learn how to lighten up a little bit and relax and pace myself. And I think that it's real important to have, places in your painting where you have joy and you have silliness, because play is what sustains us. Play is actually where we learn. Like, I think some of the biggest breakthroughs for people is when they're in a lesson and they're playing more than they're like being intense with themselves. And so I'm hoping that, the last two paintings are like keeping everything light and keeping everything fun so that we're sustained for the entire journey. Now, maybe you just came here because you were like, is that an autumn snowman? And you just wanted to paint that. You're not doing the 31 days. I want to thank you for coming by, and I hope that your snowman came out beautifully and is already up on your wall. If you're here for the 31 days, I want to congratulate you for hanging in. We are really in the thick of it now. I want to see your snowman. So hashtag the Art Sherpa, hashtag Acrylic August. You can share with me on Instagram. I've got a Facebook group called Acrylic April where you can share any of the paintings. There's also the Art Sherpa official group. We're on Discord. I'm on TikTok. I'm sort of everywhere. Pinterest, wherever you are, you can share these. Just hashtag me in. If you're not in the group, know that the groups are curated though, and they're very safe places to share paintings, to share frustration, to just be where you're at in your art journey. We really keep them curated for beginners who are doing my classes, so it's a safe space for that. Other than reminding you to be in joy in your creative thing, I just congratulate you for finishing another one. In the comments down below, tell me if you thought this was just a strange detour or absolutely perfect for the vibe that we're currently at. Was this like right on time, or was it a surprise and a curveball? Or if you have any questions about technique or what process or anything that happened here, you can leave those in the comments down below. I want you guys to be good to yourselves, be good to each other, and I will see you at an easel really soon. Bye-bye.